So they always say like rocket science, you give that as an example of it's like the hardest topic to understand.
That and brain surgeons.
That's right.
Brain surgery, rocket science.
Yeah. And yet you have cracked it. So what's yours? Is it as hard as people make out? And what is your secret? Like, how have you success? Because you're one of the best explainers. You've made like hour-long videos that manage to break down the engineering of these incredibly complex machines in very digestible ways. And to do that, I've done this myself trying to do explainer videos. You have to really internally understand it. So it's not like you're just like blundering your way through. You get this stuff. So what has been your method of going about learning it?
Well, first off, I'm far from an actual expert in rocket science. Like truly, and I'm not saying that to be like humble or anything. It's just I finally think of it the point of the Dunning-Kruger effect of like knowing how much I don't know. You know what I mean? I think 5 years ago I probably would have been like, yeah, I know quite a bit about rockets. And finally I get to the point where I'm like, I don't actually know any of the actual engineering principles, the mathematics, the actual like metallurgy, all of the things that people spend a decade of their career working on a certain like trade. I have no idea. Like that's well beyond me, and I will never do that. But the thing that I always operate from is it's just pure curiosity of like, I want to know, when a little toddler just says, why? And then you're like, well, because, grandpa and grandma are coming over at 5 o'clock. You're like, why? Because that's how long it's going to take them to get here. Why? And they have, the never ending why. As I'm like trying to learn a topic, I'm asking myself, why? And I am visualizing it always because I'm a very visual learner. And I'm always trying to think of like, and now these days, as I'm maybe becoming more hardened to it, I'm always trying to preemptively think of people's whys. Why? Hearing that like constantly as I'm typing in my voice, I'm like, it's almost maddening. But I like to try to preemptively think of those things. And then not only like, not say like, here's the answer, now shut up. It's like, here's the answer, now we're going to make sure you actually understand the answer. Because right now, like for instance, I actually just saw a comment. It's a great comment. It goes, Tim's going, this is the video topic is, why don't we launch from the equator or from mountains? And someone goes, this is something that could be answered in one sentence, but Tim will drag on for an hour. And I'm like, yeah, technically the answer is one sentence long, but to actually answer why, the real reason why, and to have someone actually understand it and get it and tangibly take it home and not just get like the little placard of like, this is what it is and why. The Quora, or however you say that, Quora website, whatever it is. Quora, I've just always read it. Quora, instead of like just the one little sentence answer, like we're going to make it so you understand it. Like, and what's that actually take to do that? Even if you don't know what orbital mechanics are, you don't quite understand delta V or a nozzle's expansion ratio, all of these things. Okay, we're going to explain those things and then make sure that we can get you from point A I always use like my parents as an example, they're in their 60s and they don't have an interest in spaceflight. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to start with them and I'm going to get them to what I know. What do I have to do to get from point A to point B?
So you have to go really down to first principles.
Yeah,
presumably each
100%.
time.
And I try not to ostracize, like, my audience can be fairly advanced at times, obviously. I have a lot of people that watch that are in the industry and things. So I try not to like totally dumb every video down to like the very like, this is a rocket, but I also want someone to be able to watch every video from the first minute and not feel like they can't understand it. So I always do bring it back around, and I try not to do that thing of like, now if you don't know what this is, watch this video, because that's just going to turn people away. I always want to be like that gateway of like, this is a cool topic.
Be completely self-contained.
Self-contained. You might not know anything about this, but I want you to like just fall into it and not even realize that you did. And all of a sudden you can't stop watching because you actually want to know the answer. And you're like following along because the whole thing is actually storylined to your exact thoughts. Because and even the video, again, it's actually releasing it tomorrow morning. But I just had the review last night for all like supporters, give feedback and all that stuff before it comes out. And we use frame.io. I don't know if you've ever used that.
All the time.
Yeah, where people can comment on a timestamp. So like 6 minutes in, someone's like, oh, you should have mentioned, it's too bad you didn't mention, how the boosters land here and here. Then literally a minute later, oh, you did, you got it. So like, I love that like I was able to preemptively answer that question, think that this is where someone's going to go.
Well enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really the key, is just always thinking about like, where are other people at in their journey for knowledge or curiosity? Where am I at? How do I take them along for this ride? because I'm always still trying to learn, and I'm always excited, or I'm always thinking about like, I'm not always excited. Sometimes it's grueling, but I am always curious of like, I know my holes of like information, and I have like a never ending list of things that I do want to make videos on because I want to learn them myself.